Peace and blessings is real. First and foremost, I want to take this time and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh through his only begotten Son, Yahweh, for allowing this word to come out. And I hope you sincere brothers and sisters is edified by this word, man. And tonight we're going to name this word, Sarah's obedience to Abraham was the blueprint on how today's wife supposed to treat her husband. Let me say it again, man. Sarah's obedience to Abraham was the blueprint on how today's wife supposed to treat her husband. In this word tonight, man, we're going to speak about the wives of today. When you understand how wives was originally set up to be, and you compare it to the wives today, there's a large gap there in between the two. Now, obviously, Eve set the tone in the beginning with what she was able to do in the garden with Adam, but you had women like Sarah help overcome that burden. And women today, a lot of women today are clueless to the fact that it were wives like Sarah that were obedient to their husbands and happily obedient. For some strange reason, man, society, the worldly customs and the worldly standards is pushing a matriarch dominated marriage, and the patriarch has been pushed to the curb. And because of that, a lot of marriages are dysfunctional. A lot of marriages are violent because there's a power struggle. Women feel as though they have just as much power, if more power than the husband. It's a lot of different worldly elements that's been sprinkled into the conduct, the behavior and conduct of how a wife supposed to be towards her husband. When Yahweh originally instituted marriage, man, a man left his mother and father, clinged on to his wife, and they became one flesh. And becoming that one flesh, man, it was responsibility, it was behavior, it was expectations that come with that. The Bible tell you the man is the head. Okay? That's just how the Lord instituted the marriage. In the position of marriage, man was the head. Man didn't decide to just tell the woman, no, I got this, I'm number one. No, the Lord created it that way. And today's women won't have no parts of that. And because of that behavior and that stance is why a lot of marriages, the marriages that survive, I should say, a lot of men have settled and compromise their position to make a woman happy by allowing her to be the head and him being the ass, so to speak. But in this word, I want to be able to show you that Sarah, her obedience to Abraham, that was the blueprint right there. In case you wives out there don't know that there's a blueprint on how you treat your husband, how you deal with your husband, there is a blueprint out there. And Sarah wrote it, man. So what I want to do is bring you 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Now, in 1 Peter, chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, for the most part, it deals with how a husband and wives are to treat each other and deal with each other. But tonight, I just want to focus on the wives, because the wives really have gotten away from how they're supposed to treat their husbands. And don't get it twisted. Husbands also have lost sight on how to treat their wives. So this is not a shit on the wives tonight word and overlook man's behavior. This is not that. I'm going to cover that as well. But tonight I want to focus on Sarah's obedience to Abraham, because that is a blueprint that most women probably don't even know exists. They probably never even thought, never even heard that a woman would be obedient as obedient Sarah was to Abraham. So a lot of you young sisters out there that's married, that follow Carly B, Meg Stallion, and all these other young hip-hop women, and then these young actresses and whatnot, and these reality TV shows, a lot of you young women, man, just do not have no level of respect for man. And then you have the middle-aged women in my age bracket should know better. What you see on the screen is a beautiful example of a woman that's obedient. This is what an obedient woman looks like. Yeah, this is what she looks like. So if you young sisters is watching this word, or you middle-aged women is watching this word, this is what you want to look like. This is one of the early telltale signs that you are obedient woman, willing to be obedient and trained and geared and wired to be obedient to your husband, man. And like I said, this ain't just getting on the wives. I'm going to get on the husbands too. But tonight I'm going to dedicate this word to the wives, and Lord willing, tomorrow night I'll get on you husbands out there, man. But in 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 5 and 6 is what I want to focus on in this word, man. And again, I hope you sincere sisters, man, really, really, I hope y'all are really edified by this word, because I'm telling you, man, a lot of you sisters are clueless to the fact that you're supposed to be obedient to your husband. And then you have middle-aged women, 40 and up, supposed to know better, and even they out of pocket. Without further ado, man, in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 5, and it reads, "For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in Yahweh, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands." Verse 6, "Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement." See that? There you go right there, man. But let's really analyze this and really penetrate what's happening here. In 1 Peter 3 and 5, it says, "For after this manner in the old time," that means in the ancient time. That means in the ancient time, not today, but way back in ancient time, that there were holy women. You see that? Holy women. Today, you'd be hard pressed to find a holy woman. They out there, but it's so widespread, man, you rarely run into one. But these holy women, one of the great signs of a holy woman, what do it say in 1 Peter 3 and 5? Who trusted in Yahweh. Okay? Which means this woman's sole purpose was to serve and care for Yahweh and take his lead and his instructions on what a wife's marriage conduct should be when she deals with her husband. You see that? Most wives today do not trust in Yahweh. So right there is one of the problems why women are so disrespectful to their husband. They don't trust in the Lord nor serve him. It says, "For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in Yahweh, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands." Okay, they adorned themselves. So in other words, they were spirited. They had a modest spirit on them, how they dressed. And then they also demonstrated the spirit of meekness and humility. How do we know that? Because what do it says after they adorn themselves? It says being in subjection. In other words, man, they are willing to submit to one's control. They are willing to yield to one for advice, one for counsel. They are willing to be subordinate to who? Their own husband, the man that they married to, and not no other wife's man. They own man, they own husband. You see that? And that's so missing today. Women are not dressing modest. Okay, women apparel is not modest today. It's whorish. You see? Women ain't demonstrating the spirit of meekness and humility. You don't see that. And there's no way you can be subjective to your husband unless you are meek, unless you are humble. If you ain't meek and humble, there's no way you're going to submit to his control. There's no way you're going to yield to him for advice, for counsel, or yield to his authority, or be subordinate to him. It's not going to happen, man. What's the name of the lesson, man? Sarah's obedience to Abraham was the blueprint on how today's wife's supposed to treat her husband, man. And in 1 Peter 3:6, it reads, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham. You see that? So what was Sarah able to do when she obeyed him? She was able to listen and conform to his command. She was obedient to him. You see that? And the ultimate sign of obedience, the ultimate sign of being subjective and submitting yourself to him, what did she do? The scripture says, calling him Lord. In other words, she acknowledged and recognized his authority and he was the Don Mega of the marriage union. By calling him Lord, she showed him honor and respect. She paid homage to him being her husband and her master. See, that's how the women in the ancient time, they understood. They understood their position. They understood how they're supposed to treat their husband. And it all started with them trusting in the Lord. So if you women ain't got the Lord in your life, let alone you trust in him, man, it's impossible for you to adorn yourself to be in subjection to him and obeying him and calling him Lord. It's impossible, man. So there is a blueprint on how today wives supposed to treat their husband, man, and Sarah gave it to you. 1 Peter 3, verses 5 and 6, man. And I'm not saying all wives, I'm not saying all women, but a whole bunch of y'all lack obedience when it comes to your husband. A lot of you women lack modesty, the spirit of modesty, the spirit of meekness, the spirit of humility, man. Yeah, man. A lot of you women got this, he the man, but I'm the man. He the man, but I'm the man. He the man, but I'm the man. Spirit on you, you know. I hope you sincere brothers and sisters was edified by this word. We give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, through his only begotten son, Yahweh, for allowing this word to come out. And amen, keep Yahweh, through his only begotten son, Yahweh, first in everything you do. And stay prayed up. And hey, sisters, hey, man, I got confidence in y'all, man. You ain't got to be out here being reckless and disobedient to your husband, because there is instructions and there is a model citizen in the Bible that can show you that showed by her example how this thing is done, man. And I hope y'all take that lead, man. Shalom.